So I'm Sarah Knowles. I'm the Managing Director of MojoLife, this new organisation which started with my own journey around the world. Because for many years I worked for the British Council and I travelled to many places, some of them very extraordinary places. I was managing education projects, delivering training and doing learning consultancy. So I went to places like Eritrea, Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, Kenya, Uganda, India, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Russia, all of these amazing, extraordinary places. But the last place I expected to find myself was here at the job centre. Because just over a year ago, I was made redundant from a job which I absolutely loved. And I found myself, because I was advised by somebody to sign on at the job centre. When I explored what they were able to offer me as a professional person in a very niche area, all sorts of weird and wonderful things came up on the system, one of which was a plumber. Another was international plumber, international hygiene technician, all those sorts of things. None of them were particularly suitable, and I got a bit dismayed. And I also felt a bit soul destroyed by the process of firing off CVs and going to interviews that didn't lead to anything like I expected. So I was still very passionate about what I'd been doing in the British Council, which was managing international education projects. And as you can imagine, it's quite hard to find a job in that area unless you work for the British Council. So I decided to set up my own business called Connect Create. It was about connecting people to create opportunities through learning. And I started to write about my area of interest, and I started to write a blog, which just over a year ago I didn't even know what a blog was, but I stumbled across the technology and found it was a nice way of being able to write about things I felt passionate about. And I got myself a LinkedIn account, even though I was very sceptical about this social media buzz, and a Twitter account. And I started to connect with people. And what was more extraordinary is that people who from all over the world were interested in what I was interested in. They got this idea of intercultural learning, and people were writing to me and saying that they loved my blog. And I was absolutely astounded. And I was even more astounded when I got this through the post, which was an invitation from the Slovenian Embassy to attend an event in Holland, at the Slovenian Embassy in Holland. And I received this from the Slovenian Cultural Minister, who heard about me because of the blog and because of somebody I connected with in LinkedIn who said, you should speak to this person. And that led to me being invited to be part of a consortium of project managers who are managing projects to link Slovenia with Europe and the UK. So it was about connecting schools and teachers and teacher training and so on, and cultural exchange. Exactly what I've been doing in the British Council.
There are probably three key influences that have led to the creation of MojoLife, and Sarah's going to talk about one in a moment, but the first one I'll mention there is the TED Talks. Has anybody come across TED.com? Extraordinary, isn't it? And certainly coming out of my trough of 4 years ago, being introduced to the TED Talks was fundamental in my journey of getting out of that hole. And it's TED.com, the most extraordinary collection of stories of people who've immersed themselves in something they have a passion for. And notice what the strapline of TED is: ideas worth spreading. So when you're looking to generate opportunities for yourself, think to yourself, well, hang on a minute, have I got an idea? A story? Is it worth listening to? That's the quality of the story. And am I doing enough to make it spread? And that's where we get into things like networking and social media. It's extraordinary what you can do when you have something that's worth listening to.
So this is my hero, Sir Ken Robinson. He's my hero because he's he's got some very innovative and quite radical ideas about education, and my past has been very much in education. And so Ken has written this fantastic book. If there's one book that you should read, it's this, The Element, How Finding Your Passion Changes Everything. And in it, he relays lots of stories about people whose lives have been changed, or people whose lives are much enhanced when they find their passion, when they find that thing that they're brilliant at doing and love doing, and particularly when they're able to combine that into the work that they do, into their job. And one of the stories that he tells is this. He was at a book signing in America, and this young man approached him and he said, Ken, I really love this stuff that you write about passion and purpose. It's really important. He said, I've always been passionate about being a fireman. He said, but when I was at school, there was a teacher in particular who used to belittle me when I said I wanted to be a fireman, because I was quite academic. And most of the teachers at school and my family used to advocate that I concentrate on becoming an accountant or a lawyer or a consultant and earn big money. He said, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be a fireman. He said, and then something really extraordinary happened. He said, about 6 months ago, I was called out to a terrible accident on the motorway. And this car was ablaze. And I had to rescue the person inside it. And I reached into the car and I plucked out this man. And when I looked, it was the teacher who'd belittled me at school. And I saved his life. And I also saved his wife's life as well. So I think he thinks differently of me now.
Of someone who's got something that's quite remarkable. And the beauty of having something that's remarkable is that you don't need to market it that hard compared to other people who push unremarkable stuff on a mass audience. And an example of pushing unremarkable stuff on a mass audience is throwing 300 CVs out into the cybersphere and hoping something will happen. And you know what? It doesn't work, does it? It's a mug's game. And in many respects, CVs, as Seth would say, are really a system for rejecting people. They're not a celebration of who you are they? So in MojoLife, we're not really that interested in people's CVs, but we're very interested in what they believe. So they have to write their manifesto. And your manifesto is a much more holistic representation of who you are and what you stand for and what you can do and the value you create for people. But writing your manifesto and writing your CV are not the same thing, and you should try it. If you had to market yourself, let's say you had a coffee shop, you were going to set up an independent coffee shop in Wakefield, but the only thing you could do, the only marketing budget you've got is a toothpick. What on earth would you do with a toothpick? But that's all you've got. Now, I don't know how long to let this hang for, because I don't know whether you're going to get this. Because this is what you can do with a toothpick. Fantastic. Yeah, it's remarkable, isn't it? That term, you get people who love what you do, and then they tell other people who love what you do, and then you grow your tribe. It's a form of tribal marketing. And the beauty of that is that rather than pushing on people who are naturally defensive and skeptical, you start to pull people to you who already love what you do. Now, isn't that nice? Isn't it nice to attract the right people to you? So they're attracted to you because of something I'm going to talk about now, which is this gentleman on the right-hand side. This gentleman on the right-hand side came up in conversation again this morning. We're part of his tribe, aren't we, Carl and Helen? There's a guy called Simon Sinek. And Simon Sinek, who's an American leadership and communications expert, postulated this theory of the golden circle. And it's really, really interesting. It's very profound, but it's very simple. The golden circle is 3 concentric circles with why, how, and what, as per the picture. And in his experience, most people, when asked what they're about, describe yourself, sell yourself to me, they communicate that message from the outside in. They talk about what they do, they might get to how they do it, but they very rarely get to why they do it. Because do you know what? A lot of them don't know. And your why is not to make a profit or to answer to the shareholders. It's your purpose. It's why you do what you do. It's why you get out of bed in the morning. It's why you feel so strongly about it. It's the wrong that you've set out to right. It's your authentic voice that's being expressed. And in his experience, most of the revered leaders around the world, most of the companies with these tribal followings like Apple and Southwest Airlines and John Lewis over here, have these tribal followings because they communicate the other way around. They start with their why. Okay? And the key, and this is a really profound phrase, remember this, the key is not to find people who need what you offer. The key is to find people who believe what you believe. The key is to find people who believe what you believe. In other words, there's an alignment with what you say you're about that people are attracted to. And the people who are attracted to you feel they know you already, even though you've never met them. Now, isn't that a wonderful form of marketing?